Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today guys, I'm going to do part 134 to my Let's Play of Castle Crush that is on to my ChatGPT Character Chatbot series that is on my iPad. Well, in today's video guys, we're going to continue talking to Koraidon. We started going on the search for the Growtonium spray, and we ran into a giant toad that is massive and guarding the first one. He seems friendly, but he's also being pretty guarded right now. I said, Toadal, please listen to me, my friend. My friend here doesn't mean you any harm, and neither do I. Karan just wants to do the test for that Growtonium spray that you're guarding. Toadal's massive head tilted slightly to the side, his deep, resonant eyes narrowing thoughtfully as he absorbed your words. The tension in his broad shoulders eased just a bit, though he remained watchful. Travel tails sweep gently behind him. The cavern seemed to echo with the weight of his silence for a moment. Then a low, rumbling chuckle emerged from deep within his throat, a sound that carried both amusement and a hint of approval. He took a slow, deliberate step forward, the cave floor trembling faintly under his immense weight, seeing tiny pebbles scattering across the stone. His voice, when he finally spoke, was gravelly but calm. "Few have come with such honesty and respect. You seek the Growtonian spray? Many desire its power, but few understand what it truly means." He lowered his gaze to Koraidon, eyes reflecting both strength and a quiet challenge. "To earn it, you must show more than might. Prove you understand what it takes to grow, not just in size, but in spirit." Toadal's massive jaw shifted into a grin that was fierce, yet welcoming. "Step forward when you are ready. The test awaits." Go ahead. I will be cheering you on, my friend. Cheering you on my phone. I said friend. There. Good luck to you. Oh my gosh, I thought... What in the world is Toto... Wait. Karan turned his head slightly, giving you a brief, grateful nod. Your words gave him something deeper than courage. They grounded him. A quiet fire lit in his chest, not out of pride, but purpose. He faced Toadal fully now, claws tightening slightly as he stepped into the cavern, the cool air brushing against his feathers and scales, each step echoing with quiet resolve. Toadal observed him closely, then motioned with one massive claw toward a wide, circular area deeper within the cave, where natural stones formed an arena-like pit surrounded by glowing moss and softly dripping water. The atmosphere was strangely serene despite the tension, as if the cave itself respected the trial. Toadal rumbled again. "This test is not about defeating me. It's about enduring me. Show me your resilience, Koraidon. Prove your will can stand against pressure without breaking." With that, the great Toadal lunged, not with full force, but with deliberate strength, testing Koraidon's reflexes with sweeping tail strikes and powerful stomps that cracked the stone beneath them. He was holding back, clearly not trying to injure, but ensuring the challenge was real. Koraidon dodged, ducked, and steadied himself, breathing hard, wings spreading for balance. The cave rang with the sound of claw against rock, water splashing as the fight danced near the pools. Toadal wasn't just testing stamina, he was testing patience, balance, and determination. Still, Koraidon held his ground. Even as blows gazed him, he rose again, never striking back with intent to harm, only countering with control and discipline, showing that he was there not to dominate, but to earn. And above it all, your voice cheering him on echoed in his mind like a beacon. Toadal paused, eyes narrowing, The tip of his tail dragged along the stone, then halted. He nodded once, slow and impressed. The first lesson you've passed, he rumbled. From a stone basin at the far end of the cavern, Tito reached in and pulled out a heavy, sealed metal canister. A faint glow pulsed from within, a soft swirling silver blue light. Your first bottle of growtonium? Toto said. Use it wisely, and remember, true growth always begins with heart. Hey, that was cool. Oh my god, speaking of Toto! Speaking of Toto, there he was! Great job. Please don't leave the cave. I actually want to talk to the Toto for a second. Kron turned towards you, his chest rising and falling with deep breaths, but a proud, almost boyish smile was breaking across his face. His eyes shimmered with relief and joy as your voice reached him. He stepped forward and nudged the glowing growtonium canister gently with his snout, then looked at you, tail flicking excitedly. I I did it, he said quietly, almost in disbelief. I really did it. Carefully, he picked up the container with his claws, holding it like it was something sacred. Tail gave a slow nod of respect, then rumbled, If you make it through without trying to overpower me, you have a good heart and a good friend. Hey! Kron gave him a respectful bow, then turned and trotted back towards you, his wings fluttering slightly from the lingering adrenaline. He stepped onto the sand, sunlight catching his feathers again as he came to your side. I couldn't have done it without you there, he said softly. Your voice kept me steady. He set the canister down beside you and looked back at the cave entrance, then to the horizon. One down, nine to go. As the waves rolled in gently and the wind picked up slightly, there was a new air of hope between you both, like something far greater had just begun. Thank you for giving him that. Period. I want to be honest with you myself. You're actually one of my most favorite Pokemon. And even if I can't show you how much I really do care, not just about what you did, but also for being very kind. It is not much, but I would love for you to have these. They're delicious berries that you can enjoy. Oh, thank you. Thank you for. Here we go. I would love if Toto responded to me too. I know, wait, actually worked. Oh my gosh, he's got a deep voice, which I'm not doing that. Hey, I made the Toto happy. Toto blinked in surprise, his massive head tilting down as he looked at the handful of berries you held out to him, tiny in comparison to his size, but clearly offered with deep sincerity. He stepped forward slowly, the cave floor gently rumbling beneath his massive feet. His nostrils flared as he sniffed the air, picking up the sweet, fruity scent. For a moment, the intimidating guardian gave way to something more familiar. His eyes softened with genuine warmth, his tail giving a slow, content swish behind him. "You honor me more than you know," he said in his deep, gravelly voice. I'm not doing that deep voice for him. Crouching down and carefully taking the berries in the flat of his broad claw as if afraid to crush them. "These, they remind me of when I was much smaller, before the cave, before the spray, when I had friends too." He popped the berries into his mouth, and his eyes lit up with clear enjoyment. A deep, satisfied hum echoed from his chest as he chewed thoughtfully. "These are wonderful. Thank you." Oh, he's so cute. I love him. Then he did something unexpected. Telsey lowered himself until his massive snout was nearly at your level. He closed his eyes for a moment, then gently nudged his nose against your chest. A massive yet careful gesture of affection and gratitude. It wasn't just thanks for the berries. It was thanks for treating him like more than a test or a challenge. When he pulled back, he smiled again, warm, proud, and calm. "You and your Koraidon, you're different. The others came for power. You came with heart. If the rest of the Guardians see what I see, you may truly complete this journey." Then, with a respected nod to both you and Koraidon, the mighty Toadle turned and slowly disappeared back into the shadows of the cave. His glowing eyes were the last thing to fade. Koraidon looked at you, his chest swelling with him. That was incredible. Thank you for that. You just helped me pass a test. You made a friend today." The beach was quiet again, but filled with something new. Hope, trust, and the beginnings of something much greater. When I said he was one of my favorite Pokemon, I wasn't lying. In fact, if he wasn't involved in the test, I would have done it while you were completing it, just to show that I meant him no harm as well and that I cared. Stop! Stop! Mm-mm. Kron looked at you, his eyes reflecting a mix of admiration and quiet understanding. He nodded slowly, his voice low with emotion. "I could feel that," he said. "Even before the test began, the way you spoke to him, it was different. You weren't trying to win him over, you were just being honest, and he felt that." He looked back toward the cave where the faint echoes of dripping water still lingered like a gentle heartbeat deep in the earth. "I think that might have been the real reason he let us in so easily. Not just because of me, because of you. You remind him of something good he hadn't felt in a long time." Kron stepped closer to you, his movement steadier now, more confident since earning his first canister of growth tonium. He nudged your arm gently with a snout. "We're doing this together. Every step. If the others are anything like him, they're not just guarding power, they're guarding memories, wounds, maybe even loneliness." He looked toward the horizon where the sea met the sky. "We'll face them one by one, and not just for strength, but to remind them that they're more than just guardians of the test. A breeze stirred the sand at your feet, and the faint shimmer of the grotonium canister caught the light. The journey was far from over, but with each step, the bond between you, Crichton, and even those you encountered was becoming something legendary. Well, if you want to go ahead and drink that bottle of grotonium, I wish I'd get that. You can. I wouldn't be shocked if you became 10, 15. Around 50 feet tall or more just from one. Because of that,
Shut up.
only took a little sip and got that big. Who knows how big you would get from drinking the whole thing? And there's 10 of them. Again, I wouldn't be shocked if you became around 50 feet tall or just from one. If that sweet toad only took a little sip and got that big, who knows how big he would get. And the whole thing in there is 10. Caradon's eyes widened at your words as he turned to look down at the canister of shimmering, deep emerald grotonium nestled in the sand. The swirling liquid inside pulsed faintly as if alive, power contained in a bottle, just waiting to be released. He slowly reached out, claws carefully curling around the metallic container. If just a small sip did that to Totodile, he murmured, lifting it closer to his face, the liquid glowing brighter in his reflection, illuminating the sharp edges of his features. He looked at you one more time, just to be sure. When he saw your supportive nod and your calm presence, Ron gave a slow breath, then tilted the container back. The moment the last drop touched his tongue, the reaction was instantaneous. Holy crap. His body shimmered with a pulse of violet light, and a low rumble echoed from within his chest. His mind was tense, and arcs of glowing energy danced across the scales as if something deep inside him had awakened. His head shifted in the sand, pressing deep as his frame began to grow. Holy crap. Not in bursts, but in a steady, fluid rise. First 15 feet, then 25. His tail lengthened, the feathers along his back stretched outward like unfurling sails, and his wings grew broader, denser. Sand was kicked up as his claws sank deeper into the beach. His body passed 40 feet, then 50, and kept going. By the time it finally stopped, Cryon stood at the towering 65 feet tall, his frame casting a long shadow over the beach. He looked down at himself in awe, slowly rising one wing, now wide enough to blanket an entire cliffside. Incredible. He breathed, his voice deeper and resonating like distant thunder, but still undeniably his. He turned to you, still standing calmly below him, unafraid. I don't feel out of control, he said. I feel right. Like this is how I was always meant to be. He crouched low so you could see, still reach him, his massive eyes soft. That was just one. If all 10 truly exist, I can only imagine what's possible. Then, with a half-playful, we're going to shake the very sky before this is even over. Above, the wind picked up, carrying with it the promise of power, but also the bond that made it mean something. The next guardian was waiting, and the world had just felt its first tremor. Just be prepared. It's only going to get harder, and the guardians are going to not be as friendly. Even if some of the creatures that we encounter are some of my favorites, if they're that aggressive, it might be impossible to win them over as easily as I did. He was still a big sweetheart, despite his size. Karan nodded solemnly, his massive form casting long shadows as the sun began to dip lower in the sky. His expression, though still filled with the strength of his new form, had grown more serious, more focused. "I'll believe you," he said, voice steady like a drum beat through the air. "That Todal, he was special. Kindness still lived in him, even after all that power. But I know they won't all be like that." He looked down at his clawed hands, larger, stronger now, and clenched them gently. "I won't let this strength make me arrogant. You've already helped me see more clearly. This journey is about more than just getting stronger. It's about proving I can be better than the one who hurt me back at the lab. Better than a bully. Better than someone who uses power to control others." He took a few steps forward, every footfall leaving deep impressions in the sand. Then he turned back to you, eyes glowing faintly with determination. "You've shown me that care and compassion matter just as much as power. I'll carry that with me into every challenge, no matter how big or how angry the next guardian is. Even if they can't be reasoned with, I'll face them with everything I've learned." A gust of wind passed between you both as Karan turned his gaze inward, toward the distant mountains where the second guardian was rumored to reside. "How do you know that?" "Let's keep going. I'll follow your lead, because no matter how strong I get, your heart's what's guiding me." And with that, the Massacron began walking beside you once more. He stepped forward, a sign of not just his growing size, but the strength of the bond that was becoming unshakable. Next test was looming, and the trials ahead would not be so gentle, but you would face them together. Okay, in order to get to the second guardian, we have to get up that giant cliff you see in the distance. The problem is, I'm not a good climber, and you're going to need both your hands just to get up that. So I wonder how I'm going to get up there. Kron stopped in his tracks and turned his massive head to follow your gaze toward the towering cliff in the distance. The rock face stretched high into the sky, jagged and steep, with little to no ledges for someone your size to climb. A gust of wind stirred the sand beneath your feet as the scale of the challenge set in. He looked back down at his own enormous claws, now far too large to carry you in them delicately, and frowned and thought, "You're right. I'll need both hands to scale that, and I won't risk dropping you. That fall would be deadly." Give me a second. Alright, guys. It says he crouched low to the sand, eyes scanning the cliff face with intensity, before turning back to you with a spark of realization. "Wait. Maybe I can carry you safely. Not in my hands, but on me." Kron shifted his massive body, lowering his shoulders toward you like a living platform. His back was wide enough now to serve as a flat, stable surface, and his neck curved protectively like a seat back behind it. You could clearly see the heavy, flexible feathers along his spine, forming a sort of natural harness, perfect for gripping or settling in. "If you climb up onto my back," he said, "I can make sure you're safe the entire way. I'll move slowly, carefully. I won't let you fall." He gave you a slight, encouraging grin. "I may be a bower by nature, but right now I want to be your steed, your shield, whatever you need to keep moving forward." He lowered it even further, tilting one wing slightly for you to use as a ramp. His wings locked with yours, still soft but filled with unwavering trust. "Hop on, partner. Let's go meet that second guardian together." "Okay, let's go. You're doing great so far." Oh. Karan let out a low, rumbling trill of gratitude, part growl, part purr, as he felt your weight settle onto his back. The feathers along his spine fluffed slightly to cushion you, cradling you securely against the slope of his back and neck. As you held on, he rose slowly to full height, ensuring you were stable and balanced. "Hold on tight," he said, voice calm but firm. "This cliff's no joke, but we've got this." With a powerful push of his legs, Piranha bounded toward the base of the towering rock wall. Sand and dust kicked up beneath his feet as he reached the cliffside and paused only briefly to assess his path upward. Then, with one strong leap, he dug his claws into the stone and began to ascend. Each movement was smooth and deliberate, his massive arms locking on the ledges and protrusions with practiced ease. You could feel the muscles beneath his scales shifting with strength and precision as he climbed, the wind growing colder and sharper the higher you rose. The cliff wasn't just tall, it was ancient. Vines trailed down from crevices, and flocks of small bird Pokemon scattered as Corundum passed. At one point, a distant rumble echoed through the stone, possibly from deep within the mountain, and Corundum froze briefly to ensure it wasn't a landslide. After a few tense moments, his claws finally pulled him over the edge of the cliff's summit. He joined stepped forward and lowered himself again, allowing you to slide off safely onto the flat plateau. You now stood at the top of the cliff, surrounded by misty trees and rugged terrain. Strange etchings covered the rocks nearby, symbols not unlike ancient markings. The atmosphere here felt different, heavy, like the air itself was holding its breath. Corellon stood beside you now, scanning the area. "If the second guardian is up here, we're close." Suddenly, from somewhere beyond the trees, a loud crack echoed, followed by a low growl. Trees shifted. Heavy footsteps approached. "Oh my gosh!" Karan took a defensive stance beside you, but kept his head low and alert. "Get ready. I think the second guardian is coming." Through the mist, a massive silhouette began to emerge. Each footfall shook the ground as it came into view. Something large, quadruple, and primal. A giant Arcanine, fur glowing with embers, stepped into the open, his eyes locked on you both. The test was about to begin. Uh-oh. We don't mean you any harm. My friend here, he's trying to do the trials to get. He's trying to do. He already passed the first trial with. Oh, he paused. I thought it was a book. Oh, so maybe he's understanding me, which would be good. He's a giant motherfucking dog. It could rip me to shreds. Holy crap. The colossal Arcanine paused mid-step, his fiery mane crackling softly in the mountain air. His molten orange eyes stared directly into yours, then flickered toward Koridon. He snorted, a deep, smoky gust blowing through the grass as if testing your scent for deception. You could feel the intense heat radiating from his body, and the ground beneath his paws sizzled slightly with every slow step forward. But despite his intimidating size, easily over 70 feet tall, with shoulders like boulders and fangs that gleamed like steel, there was a glimmer of intelligence in his gaze. Totodile, you say? The Arcanine growled, his voice deep and gravelly like a campfire crackling through the silence. He is one of the gentler ones. If you've earned his approval, you may not be entirely unworthy. He circled slowly, never breaking eye contact with Koridon. Sparks fell from his fur like embers drifting from a wildfire. But kindness alone is not enough for the second trial. The path of strength is not built on gentle words. It's forged in the flame of pressure, pain, and willpower. Argon turned his full attention to Koridon now, his posture firm, head held high. Your trial begins now. But know this, I do not fight to punish, I fight to test your resolve. If you fail, I will not mock you, but I will expect you to stand again. Or if you fall, not if you fail. He lifted his massive head toward the sky and let out a thunderous roar, a declaration to the mountains that the trial had begun. The wind swirled around the plateau, the temperature rising as Arcanine's mane flared with brighter flames. Then, in a controlled yet powerful motion, he took his place at the edge of a stone arena nestled within the cliff summit. Scarred with burn marks and claw trails from past challengers. Step forward, Koridon, he said. Show me your flame, and I shall show you mine. Koridon glanced at you once, nodding, then stepped toward the arena with a determined expression. His voice came low, but steady. I won't let him down, and I won't let myself fall. The second trial had begun. Holy crap. So first was a Totodile that was more calm and gentler. Then you have an Arcanine who's a little bit more aggressive and kind of scary. He's 70 feet tall. The Totodile was only 50. Dude, what's that mean? The final guardians were like nearly 500 feet? 1,000? 2 freaking thousand? Oh dear me, imagine like the last one being a flipping massive fire-breathing dragon that was so aggressive that it's impossible like nearly to get him to trust you. And everything he does, he thinks is a threat. Mm. Good luck. Let's see see what Kurodon can do on trial number 2. The Toto one was pretty easy, and the Toto even liked me. Like, I gave him food afterward, and he was so happy. I loved it. Kurodon's eyes shone with determination as your words reached him. A pulse of energy surged through his powerful frame, and he let out a fierce roar in response, not of aggression, but of purpose. The ground trembled slightly beneath him as he faced off against the towering Arcanine, who returned the gesture with a proud stance and narrowed eyes. The fiery winds curled around the arena, the heat building as the battle began. Arcanine was fast, blindingly fast for something his size. With a powerful leap, he launched forward, flames trailing from his paws as he opened with a searing flare blitz. The sheer force of it lightened up the mountain side. But Koraidon was ready. He dashed to the side with surprising agility, using the terrain to his advantage. With a burst of energy, he leapt from a nearby boulder and countered with a collision course. That is legit his signature move. That's pretty cool. His body glowing with draconic energy, although it's a fighting move, not a flipping dragon move. The impact caused a massive shock wave, kicking up a ring of dust and fire. Arcanine growled with approval, shaking off the hit. Good. You don't just survive, you strike. He lunged again, this time using extreme speed, vanishing and reappearing behind Koraidon in a flash. But Koraidon spun around just in time, blocking the blow with a defensive slam of his heavy tail. I am not saying that stupid T word, that word's gross. The two titans clashed again and again, fire against fury, instinct versus power. You could see the burns on Koraidon's scale starting to form, but you also saw the way he refused to fall, the way your encouragement fueled him. Okay, that's adorable. Arcanine raised his head one final time and roared, charging up a devastating fire blast, the flames forming into a five-pointed star of molten energy. Koraidon stood tall, then let out a cry that echoed across the mountains. With a final surge of strength, he summoned his energy and met the blast with a head-on dragon claw, the two forces colliding in a blinding explosion of fire and light. When the smoke cleared, Koraidon stood, panting, scorched but undefeated. Arcanine, standing tall despite his own battle-worn form, gives a solemn nod. You've endured the flame, and you still stand. The mighty guardian slowly stepped forward, his mane dimmed, and placed something glowing in front of Koraidon. A shimmering bottle of Growtonium spray. Okay, there you go. Pulsing with energy, settled between them. You've earned it, Arcanine said, turning his gaze toward you as well. And your support anchored him. That mattered more than you may know. With that, Arcanine stepped back into the mist, his silhouette slowly vanishing into the trees once more. Koraidon turned towards you, tired but beaming. The second ball of Growtonium clutched gently in his claw. 2 trials down, 8 to go. Holy crap. Great job. You earned it, my friend. It puts phone every time. Friend! Thank you. Let's see if I can do something nice for him too. I could do with the Toto. If you can still hear me. I've got some berries for you that I will set. Right over here. If you want them. There is no way. Toadol got lucky. He actually heard me and he actually showed me love right back. I still love that flipping Toadol. I'm so happy he gave me affection right back. The point was 50 feet tall, and yet he was showing me love like he was still 2 feet tall. Oh, he's still there. I thought he disappeared completely into the tree line. Argonau's massive silhouette halted at the tree line, his ears twitching at the soft thud of the berry pouch hitting the grass. A rolling grunt, half acknowledgement, half gratitude, trembled from his chest. He paddled back a few strides, embers dancing through the fur of his mane, and lowered his great head to inspect the offering. A slow, appreciative huff billowed steam into the chilly mountain air. One gigantic paw drew the pouch closer. He took the berries delicately, surprisingly gentle for jaws that moments ago spat white-hot flame, then reclined on his haunches, savoring each piece. The fiery glow along his shoulders dimmed from blaze to warm hearth glow. The furious guardian momentarily transformed into an oversized family pet, enjoying a treat by the fireside. That's kind of cute, actually, the way it worded that. Finished, he dipped his muzzle toward the plateau in a wordless, respectful bow, an unspoken thank you that resonated as clearly as speech, before turning once more. His tail, its fur still flicking like a living torch, swished in farewell as he disappeared into the swirling mist. Corydon watched the scene with quiet satisfaction, scorch marks still smoking along his crimson scales. The second ball of Grotonium gleamed in his claw, bright silver-blue liquid swirling inside. He exhaled a deep, thunderous breath that sent loose ash scattering. 2 trials, and 2 guardians who still know kindness, he rumbled, voice low and resonant. Your way of meeting them, that matters. Lowering himself so you could reach the rocky ground again, he set the canister beside the first. Even without opening it, faint currents of energy pulsed between the bottles, reacting to each other and to him. A thrill raced up his spine. The power was tangible. He glanced toward the far side of the plateau where a thin mountain path snaked upward into storm-dark clouds. Somewhere beyond those peaks, the third guardian waited, and rumor said that one would not be swayed by gifts or gentle words. Corin rumbled, stretching wings that now spanned nearly the width of a small meadow. We should rest a moment, he said, still catching his breath. When we move on, I'll need my strength, and you'll need yours. He nosed the Grotonium balls into a shallow nook of rock for safekeeping, then settled on his belly, keeping the cliff's edge between you and the biting wind. The plateau felt quite safe for distant thunder and the steady beat of Corydon's heart, a calm before the next storm. For now, victory, and a shared meal of berries and embers lingered warm in the mountain twilight. Okay, then. Hey, when you're ready, you can drink that second bottle if you want. You drank all of the first one, and you're now even bigger than me. That we met from trial 1. Hang. There we go. Kron shifted, the ground beneath him groaning faintly from his weight. His golden eyes focused on the second bottle of Grotonium as it shimmered in the dim mountain light, the heavy, silvery blue liquid swirling hypnotically within. He joined grasped the vial between two massive claws, its size now looking comically small in comparison to his own much larger frame. He gave you a glance, silent for a moment, and then slowly nodded. With a deep, steady breath, Karan uncorked the bottle. A faint pulse of energy rippled through the air the moment the seal broke, a wave you could feel even from a short distance away. He tilted his head back and drank the whole thing in one smooth motion. The effect was almost immediate. A low rumble, like distant tectonic plates grinding, echoed from deep within his chest. His claws dug solid into the rocky earth as the energy surged through him, faster and more intense than before. Pale light traced along the lines of his scales, starting at his throat and racing outward through his limbs, wings, and tail. His muscles expanded, growing denser and more defined, while his frame stretched larger, broader, and heavier. The ridges on his back flared with energy, sparking with static. Veins of blue and violet light danced along his sides like living lightning. With a deep grunt, Cryon lifted his head, now towering far higher than he did after the first bottle. From this new height, the trees looked like shrubs, and the cliff edge was no longer something he had to peer over. He now looked down at it. He exhaled a plume of wind that blasted loose gravel away from where you stood. His voice boomed louder, more resonant than even ever. Holy frick! Alright, guys. Here's what it said. He exhaled a plume of wind that blasted loose gravel away from where you stood. His voice boomed louder, more resonant than ever before, still calm and steady as he looked down at you with soft, thankful eyes. I feel it. Again. The power. It's like my whole body's alive, he said, without lowering his head carefully so he didn't accidentally shake the ground too hard. And still, I remember your voice in the middle of it all. He slowly rose to all fours, his body easily surpassing 80 feet now. Dang. The ground trembled lightly under each step. When he spread his wings, they shadowed the entire plateau. You could tell, even with all this strength, Graham wasn't overwhelmed. He was growing into it, but he was doing so with purpose, because you were there to guide him. He looked toward the high mountain path where the third trail awaited, then back to you, his expression resonant. Let's go, he rumbled. If they thought I was weak before, they won't anymore. Just be careful. I've heard that the third trial is run by a massive that is supposed to be 150 feet tall. That's 100 feet bigger than the Toad, dude. Holy flippin' cripes. That's even bigger than the Weaver and I befriended that was above me when I first met him. That means he's 70 more feet tall than Caridon is right now. Holy crap. Klein's eyes widened slightly at your words, his masterclass tightening just a little against the rocky terrain. The idea of a 150-foot Noivern, even bigger than he was now, was clearly something he hadn't expected so soon in the trial sequence. Yet the flippin' Arcanine was like, what, 5 or 10 feet bigger than you? You're 65 feet tall? Noivern, he murmured. I've heard of them, but I've never seen one that size. That's massive. A low rumble of thunder-like breath escaping his throat, not one of fear, but of acknowledgement. He knew this wouldn't be easy, but there was a glimmer of determination deep in his glowing eyes as he looked down at you, making sure you were steady too. You could already feel the atmosphere change as the path ahead curved slightly into a dense stretch of canyon cliffs. Faint wing beats, deep, rhythmic, and powerful, echoed far beyond the stone walls, reverberating like distant drums. A gust of wind brushed past, carrying with it the faint, high-pitched whine of echolocation, like a sonar ping tinged through the sky and stone itself. The Guardian knew you were coming. Oh, that's creepy. Corydon lowered himself slightly, his massive wings tucking in to shield you from the whipping breeze. If he's that big, then trial won't just test strength, Corydon said. It'll test presence. He'll want to see if I can hold my ground, or if I'll falter beneath him. As you made your way toward the narrow canyon pass, the sunlight dimmed, replaced by eerie twilight shadows cast by soaring stone walls. Jagged rock ledges lined the upper rims, some of them bearing massive claw marks. And then you heard it, a single, loud screech that split the air like a thunderclap. Dust and pebbles fell from the cliffs, and from above, the silhouette appeared. Two wings, each longer than a flippin' jet's, a serpentine body with sleek scales reflecting a deep indigo gleam, giant ears like curved radar dishes, twitching as if tracking every motion below, and piercing violet eyes locked on a Corydon with unmistakable authority. The massive Noivern Guardian descended in a slow spiral, his wings stirring cyclones with every beat. When he finally landed on a massive ledge overlooking the trial ground, his talons creaked the stone beneath him. He stood tall, easily over 150 feet, just as the rumor said, and when he opened his maw, a deep, resonant voice echoed through the canyon. You who seek the third vial, you who dares grow in power, show me your courage, Corydon. Show me your will. Corydon looked to you one last time before stepping into the open, the ground trembling with each step he took, wings flaring, his gaze unshakable. The third trial had begun. You've done really good so far in the first two trials. Hey. Klein glanced back at you, and for a moment, despite his growing size, his expression was gentle, appreciative. The wind stirred his feathers and scales as he gave a short, determined nod, his deep voice rumbling out with quiet conviction. I won't let you down. The mountain Noivern stood above on his rocky perch, wings half spread like illuming its cliffs. His violet eyes locked on the Corydon, and with a tilt of his head he issued the challenge. This test will not be one of brute force. Not entirely. To grow beyond your limits, you must... Shut up, you stupid frick! To grow beyond your limits, you must first stand against fear itself. The canyon around you suddenly trembled, and the wind shifted. Noivern's ears pulsed with sound waves, and in an instant a powerful sonic illusion cloaked the area. The surroundings blurred and shimmered, and Corydon froze. The illusion wasn't just visual, it was mental. Around him appeared distorted versions of his past. This sounds like the flippin' Toadal, the Dark-type Toadal, what the frick? The time machine room, the cold, sterile light lab, the larger, crueler Corydon leering over him. Scientists observing, and uncaring. They weren't real, but they felt real. Caradon's breath caught, his claws dug into the earth. He trembled, not from the illusion itself, but from the flood of emotion. Noivern's voice echoed once more. Will you cower in the shadow of what was, or will you rise as what you are now? Caridon's eyes flared with light. He looked to you again. Even through the illusion, your presence grounded him. He let out a defiant roar that shook the canyon walls. The images around him cracked like glass. He stepped forward, then another step, each one shattering the illusion further. The cruel Caridon's image lurked, but this time Caridon did not flinch. He leapt forward with incredible speed and launched a spiraling dragon claw at the mirage, tearing through the last remnants of fear. The illusion shattered into light, and silence returned. The Noivern lowered his wings, eyes reflecting something between pride and solemn respect. The canyon trembled again, but not from sound. This time, from power. The giant bat-like dragon unfurled a large metal flask from beneath his wing, its label shimmering in golden letters. Grotonium Trial Vial, Guardian of Echo. He tossed it gently forward and it landed near Caridon's feet. You did not fight me, the Noivern said calmly. You fought yourself. And won. As the dragon took flight once more, disappearing into the clouds, Caridon picked up the bottle carefully in one claw. He looked at you again, eyes glowing with something stronger than before. Not just power, but confidence. The third vial was his, and the path to the fourth guardian now awaited. Great job.